Well, it's 10 years, and so to commemorate our 10 years, we will be choosing 10 individuals within our community in Turks and Caicos.
Welcome back to Pushing Your Peers podcast, the number one podcast in the region for living a progressive and happier life. Today we're diving into the grit, grind, and glory of entrepreneurship with none other than Wellington Williams, founder of the Wellington Collection, as he celebrates 10 years in business. We'll talk about the realities of building a brand, the challenges young entrepreneurs face, and why persistence is the secret sauce to success. Plus, Wellington has a special announcement about his brand new Mentorship initiative to help the next generation of business leaders. You don't want to miss this one. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peas. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome Wellington Williams to Pushing Your Peers podcast. Wellington Store Collection is celebrating its 10-year anniversary. Let's drop some celebratory balloons straight down. And that's not a small feat, especially for someone of our generation. Wellington is a youth who has been making waves from the time I've known him. He's always been an entrepreneur. I would say he was born to do this. You know what I mean? But Wellington, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And now let's dive straight into it. Tell us about where this inspiration came from to start your own business.
Well, it all started off in high school, and I think a lot of people know the story, but for those that don't know the story, in high school in Form 1, I started making Rastafarian necklaces, which we knew as bingies. And one day in lunchtime, I made about $250. And imagine a 12-year-old, $250 at lunchtime. I'm like, what? I'm going to be making jewelry for the rest of my life. And literally that day is when I dedicated myself in the jewelry making field. And I've been at it ever since. And that is when my entrepreneurship habits started kicking in.
You know, Wellington, we've gone through a lot this past decade, right? When you talk about the start of this decade being something that was catastrophic with COVID-19. But out of COVID-19, we saw this whole entrepreneurial wave come out. Like, it's like it became a thing. Like, if you're not an entrepreneur, you ain't saying nothing. Like COVID-19. How do you feel about that wave? You know, what's your input on that?
I mean, the more the merrier. It's always good to have more entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur, you understand life differently. Um, it just it just makes you think outside of the box. You know, when you become an entrepreneur, you don't want to fail. So you do absolutely anything that you could think of to try not reach to that point, you know? And so entrepreneurship helps you to think differently. It makes you understand things differently as well. And if you're able enough or blessed enough where your business needs employees, then it even takes you to a whole nother level of understanding and thinking outside of the box, because now you have to deal with so many different personalities. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all human.
You know, and what has been the one of the biggest misconception about entrepreneurship? Because while it might be something that's glorified, what is a misconception about it that you would like to address?
Oh, it's so easy. Oh, it's easy to be an entrepreneur. That's basically one of it. Like, it's so easy to be an entrepreneur, but they never see what's in the back, you know? So I would say it's probably one of the biggest until they become an entrepreneur and realize how much hours and lack of sleep that you actually have to experience to be successful.
Let's dive into the past 5 years in this country. We've seen this huge boom in entrepreneurship, and we see the government now trying to support this with the MSME program, with
Mhm.
them actually saying last year that they exhausted all of their funding
Yep,
towards the program, right?
yep.
Now, you've been in this fight for a whole decade.
Hmm.
What more can be done in this country to support entrepreneurs like yourself?
Huh. So, being in this business for the last 10 years, I think that we can do things to make, well, not do things, but change policies, create policies, because at the end of the day, once policies are put into place, then for creatives and young business persons, they can get bigger pieces of the pie or even get into the cut of the pie because we have so much entrepreneurs that are trying and trying and trying, and some establishments or who they're seeking to support their business just won't give them the opportunity. And this happens every day. I'm a well-known brand, and it is still happening to me. So, but you can't let it stop you. So I think if some more policies can be put into place to almost kind of force, stakeholders to support, which is crazy to me. But if that's the route that it needs to take, then maybe that's the route that it needs to take. And
You're
an
coming
ex-
off. Oh, sorry,
and,
go ahead.
and,
I
an-
didn't know you were finished.
and an example of that would be in Dominican Republic with their creatives. If you go into any of the resorts, 100% you will see local products in their resorts. And this is because if you're bringing in something that a local person produces, it will be taxed at 200%. So therefore, they deter you from paying that 200% when you can just get it from a local.
What would be a policy you would implement if you were a policymaker right now, given your 10-year experience? What would be one policy you believe that would change the whole landscape of entrepreneurship right here in the Turks and Caicos Islands?
Well, it would be along those lines of the import duties. I guess we just would have to do a proper analysis to see how it would properly work for us because at the end of the day, for some things we may be able to produce here, but some things we may have to produce it out of country and bring it in um, for affordability. But absolutely, there's a way of doing it.
Right.
And then also, we do have some policies in place, but it's not enforced.
Yes, yes, and we always talk about that, the
Hmm.
enforcement of policies, and I hope, that's something that this government continues to look at and assess,
Yes,
because while you can go in there and make these beautiful policies, if you're not policing it, it's just makes no sense. I'm
exactly.
not gonna I'm not gonna get political, right? So
Hmm.
we're gonna pivot a bit, to
For
your
sure.
10-year journey, right? Your
Mhm.
10 years, 10
10
years,
years.
Wellington. That,
Absolutely.
that's not a small feat,
No.
given that most businesses fail within the first 2 years of business. So walk us through those first 3 years, I mean, what made you push through what we would call the dark ages of the startup? what made you continue on this journey?
So I resigned on December 23rd, 2015, from my first official job out of college, which was for 1 year. It all happened because of a door closing, which was I wanted to be able to sell my products at the Canoe, and I asked my manager at the time to have that day off, and his response was, "I don't think I can even give you a day off that week." And my question to him was, "Are you sure?" And he said, "For now, it's what it is, basically." So I said, "Okay, not a problem." I made sure I gave 2 weeks notice, so I went ahead, I wrote my letter, I resigned, and December 23rd, I was basically a free agent, um, which led to a free agent working full time for the Wellington Collection. And before I resigned, I signed a deal with Beaches, Turks and Caicos, which was my first biggest client, um, and probably is still the biggest client for today, till this day. And one thing that the buyer told me was, you must be consistent and have good quality. And I always remembered that. And so, in order for me to be consistent and good quality, I need time to be able to produce quality products. And from there on, it's been doing well. Now, the first 3 years, I would not say was challenging to me, um, because I think that I came up with the most perfect idea before I resigned. It took me 6 months to finally work out this idea, make prototypes, see how it will work. It will do well, it will fail, it is going to dry well, quality control, all of these things. I did that within the 6 months. And literally, the day that I debuted it, I took about 13 necklaces to Fish Fry. They sold in a hot cake. They sold so fast. And like, bingo, this is it. Um, and then Beaches took me on. I kept on going to Fish Fry. And then I started getting more stores that were interested in my products. And the challenges for me was some stores not believing in me due to my age. They think that I would not be able to produce in a timely manner, or they just didn't believe in the product as much as I did. And I basically would have told them that, look, why don't you put it in your store? Don't pay me until our product sells. So let's do a consignment and see if it sells. And if it works, then we can transition over to wholesale. And that's probably how it works for every one of my clients except for Beaches. Beaches right away approved, well, not right away, it took me 8 times to get into Beaches, but once they approved me, it was a smooth sail after that.
Amazing, amazing story. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is this wave of entrepreneurship post COVID-19,
Hmm.
right? And you do have persons who might be where you were at a job and they're thinking about, man, I mean, my business has these high prospects, but I don't want to let go to the of this 9 to 5, you know what I mean? But my business has the potential to like really get out there and do well. What would be your advice to these individuals based on what you've gone through?
Well, first, you're going to have to believe in yourself and believe in your brand. That is the first thing. Um, what I would tell them, and I tell this to a lot of people who have asked me about jumping onto the self employed, full time, their brand bus. And I'm like, look, do the calculations. If you can make your if you can sustain yourself with your side hustle money completely, then what are you waiting for? Because if you're giving 44 hours a week of your time to another establishment and you're making enough money from your side hustle, imagine how much more money you can make given that additional 44 hours of your time to your brand to make even more money. So that is always how I gauge it for them, where I think it makes the most sense because if you can take care of yourself with your side hustle money, then why are you really waiting? What's the point? But if you cannot, then I suggest you to keep on analyzing your business to see how you can get to that point of maybe if I give it my all, then I can definitely go ahead and make more money. Because at the end of the day, you must be able to sustain your life and your daily habits, whatever it may be, but you should be conscious about it.
Wellington, something comes up often in our discussions in this generation, and that's financial literacy, right? It's something that we are, our generation and the younger ones, the Gen Zers, we're pushing for that. We want to see financial literacy in schools and all these other things, but it's not happening fast enough.
No.
So I want you to talk about financial literacy in the sense of managing your finances and investing. What are some strategies? You don't have to say everything because I know you
Mm.
might have to put that in a salad book one of these days. You know what I mean? Your secrets, but just drop a few gems on some of the strategies you use to manage your finances and invest.
Well, first, I would create long-term and short-term goals within my life and what I want to achieve. I would also, well, sacrifices. There's going to be lots of sacrifices, and you're going to have to choose what you want to give up and what do you want in the end, at the end of it all. Um, we're young, we want to party, we want to have fun, we want to go out, day drinking, you call it, whatever. Um, Trips and trips and trips, I get it. You work hard, you should enjoy life. I totally agree. But you should also sacrifice some of these things so that you can make sure that you could enjoy life in the future. And so I think you have to be able to make some sacrifices, make short-term goals and make long-term goals. Be realistic with it and then put your finances behind it. What you're going to need to accomplish these short-term goals um, in order to complete the long-term goals, you know? And then I think by doing that analysis, you're able to reach your goals closer and closer until it's achieved.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was so well said. So well said. We like to party and travel,
Mm.
and the Africans would say live chop life,
Hey,
but you got to be responsible. You got
absolutely.
to be responsible. And if you got to make those sacrifices, Wellington, I just want to thank you for dropping so much gems and advice on the first half of the show. And before we dive into the second half of the show, you're doing something very special for this 10 years anniversary, right? I
Yes.
think I saw something. So here's your chance to tell us what are you doing? What is the special promotion you're running right now for the 10-year anniversary of Wellington Collection? Wellington Collection.
Yes. I see you fixed that. Well, it's 10 years. And so to commemorate our 10 years, we will be choosing 10 individuals within our community in Turks and Caicos, no matter the age, um, to collaborate with them to produce a limited edition product that would be branded the Wellington Collection times or X the lucky individual. Um, this will be, it's almost like a royalty deal. And a few of us know what royalty deals are, but a royalty deal where you're actually going to be making more than a royalty deal. You get to make half of the pie, not a
Okay.
percentage, a whole half. So no matter what, it could be any type of product as long as you believe in the product, you are able to sell the product because I will give you a platform in three of my shops to sell it and also let the fish fry. However, you also have to be able to be sellable to sell your products. And then the whole goal at the end of this is that hopefully they will get a taste of what the entrepreneurship life is about and possibly continue on that path with entrepreneurship and producing items. Now, I'm not going to give them my connects, but with the program, I will use all of my connects all over the world, whether it be within the Caribbean or China, wherever it is to make the product of good quality and affordable, then we will do that to get their products out to as much people as possible as the limited edition.
Is there a time frame on this program?
Um, we plan to select our 10 individuals within 2 months' time. And once we have selected the individuals, it's time to work. Time to make plans, time to sketch, create CAD files, create samples, approve the samples, get product producing, and be in the market by this year.
That's amazing, man. I love it. I love the fact that 10 people will get an opportunity to be mentored and groomed by one of the most successful youth entrepreneurs in the country. I think it's a amazing program that you're putting together. And ladies and gentlemen, take advantage of it. This is going to be great. And I love
Absolutely.
how you're going to have them you're giving them all access. So
Yes. I
this is
want
an
you,
opportunity. Go ahead.
yeah, I want them to feel, to have the full experience. So that is why they're going to be a part of every process. They're going to be a part of the planning, sketching, making decisions, getting the CAD files, um, seeing approvals, what needs to be changed, if things needs to be changed, get the final sample, approve the sample, produce it, and then come to Fish Fry to sell your product, have a little display at all of my three shops, and the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely
Well, 10, the
amazing.
whole 10 yards.
Whole time, you got it. You got it. Wellington, now, is there a age limit on this?
Um, I would say it could be from 10 and up. It could be from 10 and
10
up.
and up.
Yes,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, I started my entrepreneurship at 12. So if I can find if there's a very motivated, sellable 13, 14-year-old, then we'll sign a deal. And everything is signed. So we'll sign a contract. I won't be able to reproduce it. They won't be able to, I won't be able to reproduce it. If they choose to reproduce it, then we work a deal. Or if the product is really good, then there's a chance that we could open it up to be a consistent product, and then they will make official royalties for as long as the product is in the market.
Amazing. Wellington, I wish you the best with that. I we see these big collaborations all the time in fashion where you see Dior partnering with, let's say, a Nike or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really great that you're doing that and you're looking at the bigger picture. So
Yes.
I wish you the best with that, and
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, take advantage of that.
Take advantage of it.
Yes. Now the second half of the show. This is where you push your peers on Pushing Your Peers podcast. So Wellington, any words that begins with the letter P that has been transformational to your journey, it can be one word or multiple words. It's totally up to you. You have the floor now to push your peers.
Okay. Push is one.
That's a new. I wasn't expecting that.
Push is one. Perseverance is another one. Um, Peer pressure would be another one. Um, Positivity as well would be another one. Um, Promises would be another one. Those are five that comes to my mind at the moment, but those are my P's.
Now you can't make it that easy. You gotta elaborate on one of them peers. So give us some insight, some deep insight on one of those or two of those peers.
Okay, so from a very young age, I learned about peer pressure, and there's good peer pressure and bad peer pressure. And I think it's up to an individual to realize what they are. But I did not allow myself to be peer pressured from a young age because I know what I wanted already. And if I felt like I was being peer pressured to go away from my goal, then I would have, that's it, goodbye, I'm out. Um, and that would come with positivity because I've been positive all my life. Um, I have a friend who'd be like, I wish I was like you. You always be positive. Like somebody could say something right now and you can go right there and be positive. Use that as a fuel and boom. Well, I don't know, it's just that sometimes I don't allow negativity to dictate my life. And so I always go the positive route no matter what, because I believe when you do good, good things will always happen and follow. And vice versa, if you do bad, then it's going to come back and follow. So I've always been positive through all of the circumstances. Um, Perseverance. Oh, I know a lot about that. Um, I've been very persistent. I told you before that I finally got approval with beaches after it took me 8 times. And why do you think is that? Because that's what I'm all about, perseverance. Um, I had to perfect, I had to basically perfect my product every time. And every time I would go and they would tell me it's not ready, then I would ask a question. What can I do to make it better? They
Amazing.
would tell me, I would go, do what they told me to make it better, and then I would ask for another meeting to review the product until I got in. And to this day now, we now sell in the Bahamas, we sell in St. Vincent, we sell in Turks and Caicos, and I just met with one of the personnels in the head office, where we're now going to be expanding to more properties within sandals and beaches regionally. So that's perseverance.
Wellington, congratulations, my brother.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wellington Williams, young entrepreneur, the future. I can't say it yet, but we see it coming. We see it coming. We see it coming. But I got two more questions for you. The first one would be there is the young Wellington right now who is now just getting his foot inside the door. What is one key advice you would give him right now?
It would be to be persistent.
Okay, persistence.
Um, Absolutely, because without it, many things cannot be achieved. Um, and so, for sure, that would be one of them to be persistent.
Next question, and this one is a spin-off question. I always do this to my guests, so
Hmm.
prepare yourself. Ketchup. Ketchup. Is ketchup a smoothie or a sauce? And tell us why. Give us a
Interesting.
thought.
Interesting. And that is a question where, according to the person, belief, both of their answers would be like, it would be quite valid based on what they believe. But
Exactly.
um, why do I think it's a sauce? I think it's a sauce due to its long-lasting shelf life.
Okay.
I think smoothies are normally meant to be consumed in a timely manner. You make a smoothie in the morning or you order smoothie at the bar. It's to basically drink it instantly. Because if it's not drank instantly, then it will water down or, you know, that type of thing. But ketchup as a sauce, I believe, is more of a valid response just because you can have ketchup for weeks, and it still be good, which I don't think is possible in a smoothie format, unless you're gonna drink it right away.
That's good reasoning. I wasn't expecting you to reason that well with that one. Great, great job,
That's
Wellington.
that's the power of entrepreneurship. You are now able to think fast.
Right. Great job, man. I wasn't expecting that one. But again, Wellington, thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there any final words that you would like to leave for my audience? And also, please plug in your businesses and where they can find you or contact you.
Absolutely. Um, First, I'd like to say that also to commemorate our 10 years, we are officially starting our Wellington Collection Factory Tour. This gives people the opportunity to visit our factory to see our five different substations that makes up the Wellington Collection. They will also be able to make a product at the end of the tour and also enjoy a local meal. It's quite intentional, and we are going to give you what we believe is local. So you would not come and find you know, I don't want to use fruit punch. I don't want to give you sodas. I want to give you switcher. And if you want alcohol,
Right.
well, we'll spike the switcher, you know? So it's going to be quite intentional. They do it all over the world, so I can do it too. Um, and then the final word I would like to give everybody is to be persistent in everything that you
That's your
do.
P right there, man. That's your P right there.
Absolutely.
Ladies
Absolutely.
and gentlemen, Wellington Williams, entrepreneur celebrating 10 years. Make sure you guys go and check him out. Yes, 10 years, a whole decade. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Pushing Your Peace podcast.